First of all, I would like to register my heartfelt congratulations to the Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali-led government. I believe our government has taken a comprehensive approach in terms of delivering on our manifesto promises. I strongly believe that also the Guyanese population will agree with this. Already we have seen in the education sector, in the health, in agriculture, in every other sector we have seen mass development. To name a few, so far we've already seen the Gold Scholarship, the 20,000 online scholarships have already rolled out. We have also seen the $15,000 cash grant, which was promised on the campaign trail. It has increased to $19,000. That was already delivered and basically continue to be rolled out. We have seen Amerindian communities, major development in terms of telecommunication. There are Amerindian communities right now that have access to Wi-Fi, to proper data service. We've also seen the reinstatement of the CSOs in Amerindian communities, which I must say is very much commendable. We have indeed stick to our promises. We have seen in the health sector, as when our government took office, basically in this COVID-19 pandemic, the previous administration had no plan, but today our government has a plan, and we've been working with that. Our healthcare staff, they're receiving more PPEs. We have the vaccination program that has been rolled out, I believe, and we know this for sure based on statistics. Guyana has one of the best vaccination programs. I believe this is just to name a few. But I can assure everyone that Guyana will definitely rise to higher levels. This is just the beginning. And even in the COVID-19 pandemic, for me, we're doing excellent. I'm sure that we can do much better, but so far we're doing excellent. And as I always say, we can give it 100, but 200 is even better. With this, I'd like to take the opportunity to encourage each and every person out there, every Guyanese from 18 years and older, please go out and take your vaccination. We have seen a lot of negative comments from anti-vaxxers or even from the main opposition, encouraging persons not to get vaccinated. But I can tell you that nobody is safe until everyone is safe. And every time somebody makes a decision to get vaccinated, this draws us closer to achieving herd immunity. With that said, I would like to say a special thanks to every Guyanese that entrusted their hope in us, basically. I can assure you that our government will continue to deliver despite of the pandemic.
I would like to say satisfy is a word, yes, but I always feel more can be done. But taking into consideration the challenges that we as a government face, COVID, flood, and all the other things, I think the government has done excellent in reaching out to the people, addressing the needs of the people as much as possible. But however, there's always room for improvement. We know that. But a lot was done, taking into consideration, as I mentioned before, the challenges. I think with our interaction with the people out there, we know that people are happy. People welcome the government wherever we go. Just to mention a few things for Amerindian development that has been addressed. Land title is coming on board very soon. Agriculture, in the area of agriculture, we've been able to receive transportation, much needed transportation to transport our farm produce. Don't forget the COVID cash grant that our village council now can plan for future development. Because we care, the children, and so much that we can talk about. Things that happened within the first year of the PPPC government, regardless of the challenges. I think we have done well. I want to say, under the leadership of His Excellency, Dr. Irfan Ali, and all the ministers, I think we have done well.
Well, let me first congratulate Dr. Ali's administration on accomplishing 1 year. I think it's been a tremendous task to get where we are. Last year we were in a different place, just being sworn in and all that stuff, at least his administration. And I strongly believe that where the government picked up last year, that it has done a tremendous amount of work. No doubt there's still a lot more to be done in the country, but in terms of when you measure things in 1 year, I think that they have performed really well. We are looking forward, obviously, to what the next 4 years hold, and to see how now the government transformed these initiatives simply from, what I'd say, an opportunity to deal with recovery, that they take a more policy-based approach, where things are written out in policy. You could go through the administration or an administrative structure and get things done compared to having to interject at a ministerial level. I look forward to those policies. I look forward to the framework that will be formulated, and obviously constitutional reform, electoral reform, and legislative reforms are all things that we're looking forward to.
The first year of the Irfan Ali-led PPPC government has been one that has been exciting and at the same time fruitful. Let us take, for instance, the agri-sector. Quite a number of farm-to-market roads have been built. Quite a number of canals through the DNI have been rehabilitated. Take, for instance, the health sector. All the health centers now have adequate amount of drugs. In the educational sector, a number of new schools have been built, not only in the urban, but the hinterland areas. A lot of roads have been rehabilitated or constructed throughout this country, including Region 10, 9, 4, 5, Region 2. What is more interesting, though, is that we were able to enhance the livelihoods of people throughout this country. One, by giving out the COVID cash grant to each household, and most recently and currently happening, it's the $19,000 cash grant that are being given to school children. That, for me, has been an exciting year and fruitful. And imagine if COVID did not exist, what could have been happening in Guyana today. I want to assure the Guyanese people that come 2022, bigger things to come.
I believe that the PPPC has been good for Guyana. Over the last 1 year, we have been able to stay the course despite of the challenges. We had two major challenges, COVID and then countrywide flooding. But in the midst of all of that, we were able to get on with our agenda of delivering, fulfilling what we promised the people of Guyana, keeping our social contract, and ensuring the lives of Guyanese are improved. One of the things that I'm absolutely sure about is that sense of hope that exists in Guyana today. People are more hopeful. That dark cloud of uncertainty, hopelessness, that attitude of complaining and not sure when services will get to them has certainly been changed. We have now a situation where people are more confident and they are expecting the best. Of course, we have 31 people who make it their duty every day to oppose for the sake of opposing. So I don't know how they will convince the people who they try to convince not to accept the Because We Care cash grant, not to accept the government's intervention as a result of flooding. I'm not sure how they will be able to convince the 6,000 Guyanese who are scheduled to receive their gold scholarship for 2021 not to accept it. I'm not sure how they will be able to walk the villages and the communities to tell the people the roads that they have seen built, they are not built. I don't know how they will be able to go to the miners and the foresters who are paying less for their excavators and heavy-duty equipment, that VAT is not removed from it. I don't know how they'll be able to convince the senior citizens who have received their restoration of their water and electricity subsidy. It's not happening. So the Facebook lunatic fringe operation will continue, but I believe we have stayed the course. We have been quite focused in every sector. The public servants, the private sector, the civil society groups have all been engaged, consulted. We have had an atmosphere of engagement. Transparency has been restored to government's business. People are more aware and sure about what is happening. Government ministers are accessible to the media. We have a president that keeps press conferences regularly and engaged with the media. There is no shortage of information. There is no drought of information. So I think we are on a good foot. President Ali has laid out in his address yesterday quite a number of things that I don't think I have to repeat because they're so well presented. We're getting on with Guyana's development.
I think the first year for us has been outstanding. In spite of the challenges that confronted the government. As soon as Dr. Ali got into government, he had to start dealing at a government level with COVID. And I think he has been able to, with the Ministry of Health and all the other agencies of the government, have been able to manage the situation extremely well compared to how things are done elsewhere. I think too that we've had 2 floods. Last year we had more or less a mini flood, but this year we had an extensive flood across the country. And with the resources being deployed to deal with those issues, tens of thousands of households affected. But I think more importantly, we have been able to achieve quite a lot in terms of providing employment, in terms of development projects across the country, within the local government and regional development sector. I think we have been able to employ in excess of 5,500 persons, additional persons. So, and then build community groups, being able to represent those issues and being very responsive. I think that is outstanding. Being able to be with people, understand their issues, and addressing those issues immediately.
After 1 year, when you look back from where we came and where we are today, as Minister of Agriculture, I am very satisfied overall, not only in the agriculture sector, but all the sectors we have seen improvement, and we have seen tremendous improvement. Be it the health sector, the education sector, the natural resources sector, all the sectors in our country, public works. We are seeing a revolution, so to speak, in all the sectors where development are taking place at a rapidly high pace in our country. In the agriculture sector, I can safely say that we have seen where we came from and where we are today. I can say that Guyana now is poised to take its rightful place once again in the Caribbean. We have regained our position in CARICOM, where the President is once again the lead on agriculture, and we are leading the task force, the ministerial task force in agriculture in the Caribbean. We are now setting the agenda, so to speak, on agriculture in the Caribbean, and there where we can prosper once again, where Guyana could make its mark, and we are pushing to make Guyana once again the breadbasket of the Caribbean. And I think that with the development that are in the pipeline and the development that will take place in the future, we'll see tremendous development. For example, only yesterday the President would have announced large project, 3 Hope-type canal to be built in the country. We'll be seeing hundreds and thousands of acres of land being opened up, new maiden lands, where traditional crops and non-traditional crops will be grown. For example, I am very happy because we have trial plots now, 2 trial plots in the intermediate savanna growing corn and soya. So all in all, I am very, very satisfied. I've seen, we will be seeing tremendous improvement over the next 4 years, and Guyana will once again take its rightful place where the agriculture sector will be one of the leading sectors to create jobs, create wealth, and more importantly, create food security for Guyana and the Caribbean.
Well, if I may say that myself, I believe, and also in conjunction with what the man in the street, the people on the ground are saying, that our performance could be judged as a very good performance for the 1 year in government, because we have been able to do a lot as a government coming into a situation where we had little to work with, where systems were broken, where all across Guyana there was hopelessness. We came into power after the 5 months delay after the elections, and we worked from day one. We went into the fields, we went into the bottom houses, we went into our offices, and we strategized and we moved seamlessly into communities and to get down to the business of the people. And so in respect to what we have done as a government for the 1 year, any objective person in this country would score us well. Whether it is to the best and the best satisfaction, I would say that we could have done more, a lot more, if it wasn't for the COVID situation. Because the COVID-19 situation did not allow us to do maximum, but at least, nevertheless, we have done well given the situation and the constraints as a government, and therefore the 1 year should be judged by many along, well, taking those into consideration. We have, from day one, been working. We've been attending to people's welfare. We have been addressing issues in relation to the economy. We've been addressing the management of COVID-19. We have been addressing the ills of the past because, as you know, and you have other ministers, and for sure the Minister of Finance will tell you about what we were able to do in our 2 budget cycles. So he will share that with you in terms of being able to bring relief to people and measures that cushion the impact of, as a result of COVID-19. The floods, great performance as well in terms of us being able to be in the fields with the people, doing our assessment and making the rounds. And now, just a few days ago, the President announced some measures to deal with those persons who've been affected by the flood. And so we are a government that have been working, and importantly, we have been doing the things we said we will do from day one, from our manifesto. And you can bet and continue to have the faith and confidence in us that we will deliver on the basis of our promises, and in some cases we will even exceed our promises in the manifesto. But you can trust us as a government to deliver to the people, to be with the people in good and bad times, and to be able to make Guyana work for all of us, every single Guyanese, because we are not about whether you came from Crabwood Creek versus Buxton or Agricola. We are for every single Guyanese, and as a result of our interventions and approaches, the people of Guyana have had the confidence in us and have scored us well during our 1 year in office.
I am extremely satisfied. I think the government has been doing an exceptional job, and since coming into office from the 2nd of August, the President and his team and cabinet has hit the ground running. And this is not something that is unique to me, because I know in the opposition, when they were in opposition, it was the same way of rolling out things. So coming into government, there were several bold initiatives and promises that were made, and not just made to the people, but written in the manifesto. And we could see that just before a year and way before a year, these initiatives have been rolling out. So you have, for example, coming out of the Ministry of Public Service and the Ministry of Education, we've had the 20,000 online scholarship initiative. This year, the government had promised to give 4,500 scholarships to Guyanese, ordinary Guyanese. Instead, we are giving 6,000 scholarships to ordinary Guyanese. So that was a bold initiative, and we were able to surpass even our own expectations as it relates to that. Then you have we came in at a time when it was very challenging. You came in against the backdrop of COVID-19, and we know that that was devastating the world, and Guyana was no exception to that. So there had to be measures put in place to combat that, as well as deliver on your promises and put plans and strategies in place to accomplish those promises. And that was done. You had things like flood, which hit us without us seeing that that was going to happen. And the government was able to bounce back in a second. Promises were still being delivered, and also you had flood relief being rolled out. The management of that flood situation by the Ministry of Agriculture, by the President himself, by the Prime Minister, by the CDC, that has been exceptional. And so Guyanese can look forward in the years to come that all promises that the PPPC administration has made to them will come to pass. And that I can say that based on the fact that several initiatives are already being delivered upon. You have the Ministry of Public Works, who has been working day after day after day to ensure that our infrastructure and roads are being completed, that we have put in initiatives such as the Demerara Harbour Bridge, which will be on the way, the road to Mabura, that is on the way. So you have several things, the Gas to Shore project, which will come online. So you have so much that we have been, maybe perhaps the timeline is a short one year for all of these things to have come on board, but we have been able to do it. And so I have every confidence, and the Guyanese people should have the confidence, and I'm sure they will for the next 5 years, that we will deliver on our promises.
If one would have listened to President Ali's address yesterday, they would have thought it was an entire 5-year performance, but it's just 1 year. I believe that because of the expectation placed on our government and the hard fight to get into government, over the past year, every single member of the cabinet and, government at large try their best to, put the best foot forward and to do the people's work. Our cabinet, I believe that based on the reviews, independent reviews, people on the street, people from, communities, their reflection on how we perform is a testament that us going out there all the time, meeting with people, being on the ground, talking to them, I believe that is a good thing, and I think it's something that we need to continue and amplify. The broad transformative projects that the President has spoke of yesterday, all of them are in the pipeline. The rehabilitative agenda, we've been doing a lot of work. The social work that we're doing through the other ministries and so. Then we have the agriculture sector and natural resources as well, the oil and gas aspect. I believe that every aspect of the economy we are working on to increase and improve the lives of our countrymen and countrywomen. So I personally am satisfied with what we've done so far. The year 2, year 3, 4, and 5, we'll see the implementation of some of the transformative projects, because the foundation is the planning part of it. Procurement is getting it into the hands of the contractor, but the implementation will be in year 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that will show, the physical manifestation of what we have laid out in the first year. At this point, I can say that I am satisfied with what we've done so far. Much more needs to be done in the energy sector with respect to infrastructure and so, which we are looking at. Much more needs to be done, but everything is planned and done systematically in light of not overheating the economy, in light of not, putting pressures on the economy and prices at the same time. So, we do things in a measured approach too, because if you, shock the economy with a lot of volume, you have a lot of demand and little supply, you have a lot of supply and little demand, so it affects prices and so. So you have to measure how you do it in the economy, especially when it comes to cost of living as well too. Something that, you know, we have our pulse on, the cost of living, and some of the items that are driving up that. As you know, the flood had an impact on that. Global freight costs have an impact on it. The rising prices of oil prior to only the weekend because of the Delta variant, oil slipped a little, but oil was on the rise as well. So you have all of these aspects that are having impact on goods that we import, which is carrying up some level of, you know, prices in the marketplace. Fresh vegetable was, fresh produce, farm produce was affected because of the flooding. So those things, we have our pulse on them, and we have to make sure we manage that process from a wider perspective. But with respect to our ministry, what we have been doing, I think that, you know, we can not strain ourselves, pat in the arms on the back, but I think that we do a fair enough job.